Hello, everyone.
And shalom.
Welcome to Hillel at Davis in Sacramento.
It's our home away from home.
Yeah. My name is Rivka Keith, and I'm the student board president here. I recently graduated last quarter with a major in psychology and a minor in education.
And my name is Alexander Cohen. I'm graduating soon in both neurobiology and cognitive science, and I'm the VP of operations for Hillel Student Board. Thank you. We have a quick video for you all to watch. It's all about Hillel. It's very informative. Four minutes, quick few minutes, and then we'll be right back after that.
Good luck, sweetie.
Mom and I'll see you at the dorm, okay?
Okay, bye. Ready, Grandma?
You never forget the first day of college. The hope and the joy and the doubts too. Am I prepared enough for this new challenge? Will I be able to make friends? Who do I want to become? My granddaughter was trying to hide her worry. Young people always think we won't notice. But I could see the doubt and uncertainty behind her eyes. Because I remember my first day. It was the early 60s. I had never been more than 100 miles from home, and suddenly I was 3,000 miles away, all alone, standing at a crossroads, trying to decide who I wanted to be. I felt lost until I found Hillel. It was a community filled with friends, songs, and traditions, a home where Jewish students of every denomination could be themselves and celebrate the traditions that connected us. For 100 years, Hillel has been there for every Jewish student on campus, a welcoming, supportive community that helps build relationships that last a lifetime. But Hillel didn't only connect us to each other, it connected us to the entire Jewish world and to thousands of years of Jewish history and tradition. Hillel has brought students from around the world to Israel, building a bridge to our heritage that begins in college and lasts a lifetime. And it has also brought Israel to campus to help spread a love of Jewish culture. But the power of this community is not just that it makes our joys so much sweeter, it also serves as a balm for our sorrows. Because the truest test of community comes out in the times of greatest struggle and adversity. Generations of students are connected to one another by their impact on the world. Volunteer service, acts of hesed, and tzedakah, these are the Jewish values that Hillel inspires and instills. For 100 years, across 850 colleges and universities around the world, Hillel has given students the tools to launch us out into the world and build a thriving Jewish future. My experience with Hillel in college shaped me for the rest of my life. After graduation, I took everything I learned out into the world, starting a family and a business, building a life as a proud Jewish leader. Because all of that is the true magic of Hillel. Hillel has been many things over the last century. For my granddaughter, it will be all of those things and so much more.
Hi, I'm Jaden.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Rachel.
You must be new here.
Yeah, it's my first day.
Come, I'll show you around.
Oh, thanks.
It will keep innovating, just as it always has, to help students deepen their connection to the Jewish people and become the best version of themselves through inspiration, education, friendship, and the occasional free meal. And as each generation reshapes Hillel, Hillel will continue to reshape them, building the caring, brilliant, innovative leaders that go on to change the world.
So did you like the video?
I really loved it. I think it really emulates a lot about what our Hillel is like. I mean, especially within this year, we've seen so much more student engagement. We've seen a lot more student engagement, especially with Sacramento students and even our own Davis students. I mean, that's very apparent at Shabbat. I mean, you spoke at one of them, right?
Yeah, so recently I spoke at a Shabbat. Every one of our Shabbats is themed. So the last one was about Shanghai, and I got to talk about my grandfather who went over to Shanghai after World War II. So that was really great.
I mean, and the
Yeah.
food is always great, and we cannot forget about what we did over spring break. What did we do over spring break again?
Yeah, so last year we went to Bodega Bay. We had a super fun trip. Rachel was there, and I was able to meet a lot of Sacramento State students, and it was a super fun time.
And I think the thing that brings me to Hillel every single day is being able to see the staff's warm smile and warm hearts welcoming us and helping us with programming events, because I've never seen this many students, Jewish students, or anybody who supports our community at Hillel as we've seen recently. It's been phenomenal to see so many students.
Yeah, there's been like over 100 students came to our Hanukkah party that happened right here last year. And we just had a Purim party too. And we also do really good events in the community. We did a fundraiser where we collected clothes and gave them to campus. And I just love getting involved with all the community.
And we're also very soon having a JLF Jewish Learning Fellowship, which students, around 20 students, will be able to learn more about Jewish history and Jewish ideology. So we're very excited for that. And with that, I think our experience at Hillel has been very phenomenal, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of this program. Is there anything else you want to finish off with?
Yeah, just Hillel has really helped me grow into my own person, being the student board president. I've learned so many different skills, and it's just been so amazing working with the staff. And I'm just so grateful to everyone here and to have this community here. It's definitely really been very transformative for my college years.
So from the student board to you all, thank you so much. Thank you all. And now I would also like to introduce, it is my great honor to be able to introduce my Hillel grandfather and the president of the board of directors for Hillel, Barry Klein. Grandpa, come here.
You'll do well. What can I say? Well, how do you follow that? Thank you so much, Alex and Rivka. You and your fellow students are inspiring and heartwarming. My wife, Gail, and I love all of the Hillel students as part of our family, and we are not alone in that feeling. Every time we come to Hillel on Shabbat or Tuesday night dinners, Gail and I sit by the front door for a while to bask in the glow of our wonderful students as they come in the door with a look of coming home to this sanctuary of love and support. Our thanks to the wonderful, hardworking, and effective staff here, starting with our amazing executive director, Rachel Darling, operations director, Debbie Gritz, program director, Seth Browner, Israel fellow, Farid Isilov, and our super hardworking and effective chef, Karen Lipman. So, Alex, why don't you come up? We have flowers for everybody. Come up to, I guess we can hand them out after I speak, and we have something for Seth there as well. Do you want to give them out, Alex? Later? Later. I'm told later. I follow directions. And to all the student interns and student volunteers who you see all around us today, there are many, many of them. Your efforts are so much appreciated as well. You all contribute to our mission of supporting and enriching the lives of Jewish students in the Davis-Sacramento region. And a special thanks of appreciation to all of the current and former Hillel board members who have served so effectively since our founding in 1965. You have continued to work diligently to enrich the lives of Jewish students and our Jewish community. So would you please stand, all the former and current board members, please stand for a round of applause. the building all around us is due to their efforts and the many donors who made this happen. And you'll always be remembered. Every time we walk in the door, we think of all the people who made this happen. I would also like to recognize our UC Davis Chancellor, Gary May. Gary. And Gary's here for selfies if you need him. Gary is a great supporter of Hillel. He initiated the Chancellor's Advisory Council on Jewish Student Life on the Davis campus, a group that meets quarterly to address issues that affect the lives of our Jewish students. Gary's heart is with us, and we feel your support and appreciate it, and we thank you very much. I would now like to introduce the co-chairs of the benefit, Jody Liederman and Marjorie Kaplan, who are amazing.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Hillel. It is so fabulous to see all these seats filled and to see everyone on Zoom. We're not forgetting about our Zoom people, one of the golden nuggets of the last couple of years. And we are really, really thrilled, and thank you for making the time to come today.
Hello and welcome. Yeah, it's great to look out at all of you. I wanted to tell you first off, what inspired Jody and me to take this on as co-chairs. It was this quote. I love this quote. Hillel enriches the lives of Jewish students so that they may enrich the Jewish people and the world.
Yes, that just like Rivka and Alex, who we all just heard from, perfect examples. And in just a few minutes, you'll meet other exceptional Hillel alumni who are very much enriching the world and making it a better place.
Besides creating a great home for our students on campus, Hillel is really about leadership development. When we give to Hillel, it's truly an investment in the future of our people and our community. At this time, we'd like to honor 3 Hillel leaders who passed away this past year. Yes, first, Larry Rappaport, our founder, who had the extraordinary vision to establish our Hillel in 1965. We're so grateful for Larry's leadership and for the legacy he created. Larry's wife, Norma, and his daughter, Meryl, help us carry on our good work, and they are here today. Barbara Fingerat, a successful career woman who found her connection with Hillel once she retired. She believed in our mission and left behind a gift for tomorrow's leaders. And finally, Judy Levine, past president of Hillel, who established an endowment fund at the Jewish Community Foundation of the West in Sacramento to fund Israel program at Hillel. May their legacy be a blessing to us all. And in a few minutes, we will also honor a young leader whom we tragically lost in January.
As co-chairs, we would like to thank our lead donors. In our first category, we called them our seed funders, Gail and Barry Klein, Betsy and Mike Singer, and Beth and Tony Tanky. Thank you. Our next category are the investors, Sochi Castaneda and Mark Schenker, Laurel and Eric Hasid, and Janet Saunders and Roy Kaplan. and more than 50 other generous sponsors listed on the screen who stepped up to invest in our early days as we planned today's event. We thank you for your trust and your vote of confidence. Before we begin the program, we'd like to take a moment to recognize dignitaries and community leaders who are here with us today. When I call your name, if you'd please stand or wave, and please hold the applause. Rabbi Bess Wallner and Rabbi Jeremy Simons of Congregation Bet Havarim Davis. Woohoo! Rabbi Mona Alfie of Congregation B'nai Israel and former executive director of Hillel. Executive Director of Congregation Bet Havarim, Pia Spector. Head of Shalom School, Jillian Bar-Or. Campus Support Director, Hillel International, Michael Rapkin. Thank you. Chief Deputy District Attorney of Yolo County, Jonathan Raven. Thank you. Yolo County Supervisor, Lucas Frericks. Rabbi Ben Herman of Mosaic Law. And as everyone was walking in, I saw a lot of yarmulkes, and I noticed there's many more rabbis here. So if you are a rabbi from somewhere in the country, would you please stand? Please stand. Okay, just had to recognize our rabbis. Let me finish with our Yolo County, Deputy to Yolo County Supervisor, Jim Provenza. We have Sheila Allen. And last but never least, a great friend of Hillel who leads the most comprehensive campus in the University of California system, Chancellor Gary May. It is now, for today's program, we are going to get started, and we will have for the next 45 minutes, 2 segments. One is a panel, and the other one is an interview. And then we will have a special appeal with then closing exciting news from our executive director. Following all of that, there'll be a book signing with our featured speaker today upstairs in the lobby. So the next thing, it is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for the alumni panel, a UC Davis and Hillel alumna, herself a class of 2012, and a person who is being recognized on the national scene as one of the most talented Hillel directors around, Rachel Darling.
Wow. Thank you so much to our fearless co-chairs, Jody and Marjorie, for leading the way and planning this beautiful benefit today. Today, I am honored to have 4 of our alumni joining us for our panel discussion. Before I introduce you to them, I'd like to take a moment to remember Zachary Nelson, who had planned to be with us today. Tragically, we lost Zach a little over a month ago in a terrible accident. We are deeply heartbroken for his family and for our community, and we are so moved that several of Zachary's family members are here today to honor his legacy. As the former program director of our Hillel, I had the pleasure of knowing Zach over the past 9 years. Zach was the epitome of a mensch. He was wise, charismatic, and above all, he was kind. During his time at UC Davis, he served as our Israel intern, president of Aggies for Israel, and he was instrumental in forming Hillel's student board. Additionally, Zach and his family endowed our Benabu Nelson Moroccan Shabbat, which we have every spring here at Hillel. Each year, Zach would visit us from the Bay Area and come and share his family's story. And and his family's traditional recipes from his grandparents, Meme and Pepe. Zach graduated UC Davis in 2017 and went on to become a biomedical engineer while also serving on the board of Jemena, Jews indigenous to the Middle East and North Africa, as well as serving as a leader at a Moishe house in the Silicon Valley. At Hillel, we are committed to keeping Zach's legacy alive through hosting Moroccan Shabbat every year, celebrating Mamuna, and we just this past week permanently installed a photo collage of Zach upstairs in Oscar's den, where Aggies for Israel continues to meet each week. One of Zach's friends from Hillel, Eliana Wasserman, shared, Zach is still bringing people together and teaching us how powerful lessons even now. Upon the news of his passing, hundreds of Hillel students have reconnected with one another to share stories, support each other, and rekindle a special community and time of their lives. A number of alumni have shared with me that they have taken on more active roles in their Jewish communities to honor him, and they've intentionally spent more time in nature, planning trips abroad, and living life to the fullest, just like Zach did. Now, I would like to invite you to join me for a moment of silence to remember Zach and all that he gave to our community and the world. Thank you. May his memory forever be a blessing. I would now like to talk a little about Hillel. As you know, Hillel is all about building community. It's the Center for Jewish Life at UC Davis in Sacramento State. It's where students meet their best friends, where they bake challah, talk about Israel, and do mitzvot. Hillel is a springboard where students develop their leadership skills so that after they graduate college, they can enrich the Jewish people and the world. Now I am pleased to welcome 4 alumni to our stage and on Zoom. So starting with Micah Lesh, former director of Jewish Student Life at Berkeley Hillel and law student at UC Law SF, class of 2019, joining us from San Francisco. And next we have Tyler Gregory, CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council Bay Area, class of 2010, joining us all the way from Israel. And here with us today, we have Jillian Bar-Or, head of school at Shalom School Sacramento, class of 2003. And last but not least, we have Arya Caligari, rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College, Los Angeles, class of 2019. And you're both welcome to come take a seat. So for the next 15 minutes, I invite you to join me in kvelling over these 4 amazing alumni. I will be asking a series of questions, and we're only giving them 1 minute to answer the first 3 and 15 seconds to answer the 4th. It's don't. Got it. Noted. Starting with, actually, I'm going to make my way over to you all too. Testing. Oh, wow. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Hi, everyone. Tyler, I'm going to try to not block your face over here. So the first question, and we'll actually start in the order that you're sitting in. So Tyler, then Micah, then Arya, and then Jillian. So question 1 is, what are your multiple roles or identities, and how has Hillel shaped you?
Great. Well, Erev Tov or Laila Tov. Hi, everybody from Tel Aviv. Thankfully, this is a 24-hour city, so I'm good. It's great to be with you. I identify as a proudly gay, Reformed, Jewish, liberal Zionist. There's a lot to unpack there, and I think Hillel has something to do with just about every one of those important identities in my life. But being a part of Hillel, this was part of my formative years, learning to become a Jewish leader, taking on more responsibility, taking on the president role at the Davis AEPI, being a volunteer songwriter at Beit Chaverim for a couple of the high holiday services. It all really started with Davis Hillel, and I'm really grateful to the staff, the board, and the Davis Jewish community for making sure that this institution continues to be strong.
Thank you, Tyler. Taking it over to Micah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here and for honoring me. Now I have 55 seconds. I am a law student, as Rachel said, and for those, if there are lawyers in the room, that's somewhat, when you're in law school, the only identity you're allowed to have. But prior to law school, I was the director of Jewish student life at Berkeley Hillel. And the reason I was involved in the Jewish nonprofit world broadly was entirely because of my experiences at Davis Hillel. I'm a law student largely interested in public interest law and a variety of intersecting social justice issues. And in that same vein, those interests stem exactly from the experiences that I had at Davis Hillel when I was a sophomore, working as a Caret Fellow, and had the unique opportunity to use Hillel as a platform to engage fellow students in social justice work by putting together volunteer days, a social justice speaker series, and programs of that nature. So my time at Davis Hillel was pivotal to pushing me to where I am now, and I'm very grateful.
Beautiful, Micah. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aria Caligiuri. I am a fourth-year rabbinical student at the Hebrew Union College in Los Angeles. I'm 1 year away from being ordained. In addition to that, I am a spiritual counselor at the Beit Teshuvah Drug Treatment Center. It is a Jewish faith-based drug treatment center in Los Angeles with 120 beds. In addition to that, outside of those vocational identities, of course, I identify as Jewish, and I'm a Reformed Jew. I come from an interfaith family. I'm a transgender woman. I am on the autism spectrum. There are a lot of identities that I hold, and Hillel was very instrumental in supporting those identities and supporting that work in rabbinical school, and even just pushing me to go on this rabbinic path. I remember when I first came to Hillel with my older sister, Alexis, and she also went here, and it was just such a wonderful experience, and I had felt so welcomed, and everybody just kept pushing me to excel and pushing me to stay involved and to really take more opportunities in the Jewish community. And without Hillel, I don't think I would be here today.
Wow, thank you, Aria. It's beautiful. And Jillian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian Bar-Or. I am a Jewish professional. I'm the head of school at Shalom School in Sacramento, which is our day school of the region. The next closest day school is in Lafayette, California. So it's really important work. I also have a master's degree in organizational leadership and innovation from the Zellico School of Nonprofit Management at HUC. And I think my time at Hillel as an undergrad and graduate student was super instrumental in that path, and I'll say more in a second. I am an LA Jew. Although I've been in Northern California for 23 years, I'm a daughter of 2 New York Jews, and I'm married to an Israeli Jew. So like our first speaker said, lots to unpack there. I'm a Jewish mother, and I'm an engaged Jew who cares really deeply about passing on tradition and culture to our next generation. And that's becoming more and more nuanced as the years go on. And I'm an engaged Jew who didn't have a traditional path to being an engaged Jew. I didn't have the day school, temple, Jewish camp, Israel trip, linear trajectory. I had those things in a little here and there in fits and starts, but it's not like it was just like handed to me and my parents said, you're doing this. I really came to it on my own. And that is what I credit Hillel to. Hillel played a huge role in making Judaism and Jewish connections accessible and meaningful in my young adult life. It was an easy atmosphere to enter, low barrier to entry, with a make what you want of it feeling. And this encouraged me to come to my own in my Jewish self and in a way that was individual and authentic. Also, I was at Berkeley Hillel as an undergrad and Davis Hillel as a grad student, and I was the front desk receptionist at Berkeley Hillel and then the development intern. And I truly thought I was just like at a $15 an hour job. I didn't realize that it was like the foreshadowing for my actual career. So you really are building leaders here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jillian. All right, Tyler, we're going back to you with why do you wake up choosing to do what you do each day?
Well, the reality is we're only 3% of Northern California, and we're not going to solve the problems facing the Jewish community alone. So I'm proud to run the JCRC Bay Area, the largest collective voice of Bay Area Jews. And we understand that if we're going to fight rising anti-Semitism, if we're going to make sure that Jewish identity is embraced and Jews feel a sense of belonging in our schools, at our universities, in city, state, and federal government, we're not going to solve those problems by ourselves. And so what Hillel taught me, and that I've taken through every step of my career as a Jewish professional, is coalition building. That sometimes as Jews, we can feel alone in these challenging moments. Well, the reality is the API community is saying the same thing to themselves. The African-American community is saying the same things to themselves. The LGBTQ community is saying the same things to themselves. And it's really by building bridges like the one behind you, Micah, that we're going to get. We can't do it alone. And so we need to overcome some of the challenges of the past and start with what we share. What do we have in common? Just like this awful concept of the China virus that has led to a hate crime spike against our Asian neighbors, we too as Jews have faced a scapegoating for things that have happened overseas, like 2 years ago with the Gaza escalation, right? We have so many shared experiences. And so sometimes anti-Semitism is the virus, but oftentimes it's a symptom of another virus, like threats to our democracy, like rising extremism on both ends of our spectrum. In order to solve those deeper problems, we have to find common cause and build coalitions with our neighbors. And I'm proud to do that work. And that's something I learned at Davis, Aggies for Israel and building relationships. It all starts on college campuses. So that's why I get up in the morning.
Amazing. Thank you, Tyler. Micah?
That's a tough act to follow. I get up in the morning primarily because I'm the proud grandson of Holocaust survivors. And that's a fact in my own family history that shaped my identity and especially obviously my Jewish identity for many years. I grew up in Petaluma, and while there's a bit more of a Jewish community there now, when I was growing up, there wasn't much of one. So I connected my Jewish identity to growing up speaking German and learning at an appropriate pace about the stories of my grandparents being imprisoned, being persecuted, and then finally making their way to this country, not until 1952. So my interests in immigration law, in fact, stem largely from growing up hearing those experiences, because whether it was hearing my grandfather say that the best exercise he ever had was digging mass graves at a concentration camp, or navigating the job market and learning English when finally coming to New York. It was sort of those harrowing stories growing up that pushed my interest in law, and now at this place that I'm in now in immigration law, because I hope to use that knowledge and that very personal and harrowing experience, hearing their stories, to help refugees and asylum seekers navigate the procedural and legal hurdles that they face, and what is a growing crisis in our world. And connecting that just briefly to Hillel, if I may, I had the unique experience also at Davis Hillel to bring my own grandmother, who is a survivor, as I mentioned, to Hillel. I think 3 out of the 4 years that I was there to speak to students on Yom HaShoah. And I think those were some of the more sort of important and special moments I had at Hillel, because, as I said, such a huge part of my identity, a huge part of who I am, what my interests are, and I got a chance to share that with the Davis community. So I'll always cherish that. And I continue to get up every day thinking about their stories, doing the work that I do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Micah. Arya.
What really gets me through the day, and what really helps me get through the morning, because there are some difficult days and there are some difficult mornings, being in rabbinical school, really just trying to get to that finish line. But what really gets me through is remembering that every day I wake up and I've been made pure by my God. And I know that everybody else is made in the image of God, and knowing that I am in a fulfilling career where I can actually make an impact, not only in the Jewish community, but in the global community at large, and really being able to help others find, access and find places to pray and to feel part of the Jewish community. In addition, being an intern at the Beit Teshuvah Drug Treatment Center, I remember teaching someone who was an IV heroin user for 8 years how to read from the Torah. And when she finally got up and read from the Torah, I was incredibly proud of her. And it's moments like these that really remind me of the importance of serving the Jewish community and serving the Jewish people, and that Hillel really prepared me for these moments, giving me these leadership opportunities through song leading, through leading Shabbats, through being involved in various student organizations, and I couldn't be grateful enough.
Thank you, Aria. Beautiful. Jillian?
I'm looking at our board president. I wake up every day to do what I do at Shalom School as the head of school, and it is not work for the faint of heart, both as the professional leader and our lay leader. Every day it's something different. And I wake up because the school and the community need me. I often say, I'm in my second year. I was in advancement and admissions prior to becoming the head of school. And I often say that the work chose me, and the role chose me more than I chose the work. I think of the Hebrew phrase, Hineni, I am here. I was needed, and so I'm here. Also, I know that there are many professionals and educators that went before me in my own various Jewish experiences, and they're the ones who made those a reality. And I may not even know them or have known their names or seen their faces, but I know now that a lot of work happens behind the scenes to deliver Jewish engagement to all the generations. And I want to give back and pay that forward through my work for the students and families at Shalom School. And lastly, I have an incredible leadership team at my school, and I think you can't do this Jewish communal work without that. And there's 4 other hardworking, dedicated, and extremely professional women that are on that team with me, and they bring their all each day. So even when it's hard and I, feel like, can we get a breather? They are just working their tails off day after day. And so I'm there right there with them with my sleeves rolled up. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Question 3. What's your most fun memory at Hillel? I'm excited for these. Tyler, you're up first.
Well, since this is a family-friendly event, we'll talk about Kabbalat Shabbat services. So, I grew up at Camp Newman and Camp Swig and did the song leader track at Camp Swig. And each summer I was the camp song leader at a camp in SoCal called Camp Mountain High. And it was really at Hillel that I sort of got my practice throughout the year, leading Kabbalat Shabbat with my guitar most Friday nights. And it was just so much fun to bring, brothers from AE Pi and see so many friends, and to be able to lead people and build community that way is incredibly meaningful. And, being a student's stressful. You got exams, you got social life, the political climate can be interesting on campus. And so to have a way to wind down the week that way, I think is just really powerful and gives some space to transition into the weekend. So I'll always cherish that.
Thank you. Micah?
Tyler, once you're back from Israel, I'll bring a ukulele, or we'll jam sometime. I also use so for those who know me in this crowd, we can't see you, so I think I know a couple people there, know that I'm somewhat of a silly person. I try not to take myself too seriously. That's something that's tough in law school at times, but in that spirit, while I was at Hillel, I think my most favorite memory that I think was a fun and silly one is that my best friend Sam and I had the unique opportunity to co-host, or I guess co-MC, an open mic event. And it was, I think, so successful We did it when I was a sophomore and a credit fellow. We did it again my junior year. And really all that meant was we were sort of being the silly selves that we were in our dorm room freshman year and then later in the apartments we lived in, but just in front of a crowd of fellow students and community members. So between acts of folks playing guitar or folks, performing other things, we would do silly little improv skits, excuse me. And what was wonderful is that, like I said previously, Davis Hillel openly markets itself as a platform for really anything in any way you want to creatively engage with your Jewish identity. And so we had that unique opportunity. And since then, Sam and I had lived together we were college roommates freshman year. We lived together for 7 years after that. Only just last year did I move to San Francisco. And since then, because of that pivotal experience, hosting those silly open mic nights, we've performed improv publicly in the Bay Area in different places and have hosted similar events since. And then I think professionally, oddly enough, my ability to sort of cut loose and get silly at Davis Hillel really made my job as director of Jewish student life at Berkeley Hillel a lot easier, because I think I use humor and have used humor to connect with students and build community. And that's a skill I really learned to train at Davis. So wonderful memory.
I remember one of those open mic nights, and it was awesome. You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, Aria.
So there are many, many memories that, of course, would make the list of some of my most fun memories at Hillel over 4 years of amazing making of memories. But I will say probably my most fun memory at Hillel was actually going on the UC Davis Hillel birthright trip. I also attended the birthright trip with my older sister, and it was a very powerful experience. This was back when Barak was our Israel fellow. And we just loved seeing Israel. It was our first time being there. And I know that Hillel is, very instrumental in, making these birthright trips happening and getting people recruited for birthright trips. And it was a very wonderful experience. It really connected me to Israel. It really connected me to Hebrew. And then I went home. And when I got back to UC Davis, I signed up for Hebrew classes. And in addition to that, my sister and I, who she is 2 years older than me, we both had our bat mitzvahs on this birthright trip. It's, we had grown up in an interfaith family, and, we didn't necessarily grow up with a lot of Jewish background. And so because of that, this birthright trip was extremely meaningful and powerful for us, and not only as an experience of a lifetime, but also in terms of really shaping and building that Jewish identity.
Beautiful.
My two joy-filled memories of my times at both Berkeley Hillel and Davis Hillel were of Shabbat services before the Friday night Shabbat dinner. At Berkeley Hillel, I remember the reform service that were held in the basement and were led by a student named Becca. She had an incredible voice and a keen ability to lead a spiritual Shabbat service. And just to prove the point that Hillel grows leaders, I looked Becca up last night, and she is the senior rabbi at Congregation Beth El in Berkeley, California now.
Wow.
And then here at Davis Hillel, actually, I was here for graduate school and I've never left. I came just for a year, and that was 20 years ago. So I was also involved in Davis Hillel as a community member post grad school. And I remember being at a Shabbat at the old Hillel house before this was built. And it was outside in the backyard, and I was moved to my core by a student's ability to song lead and create a moving prayer experience. And this time the student's name was Emma, and I looked Emma up last night, and she is the senior cantor at Stephen Wise Temple in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you all. So this last question, this is our lightning round. So 15 seconds each. So the question is, what 3 words describe your experience at Hillel? So Tyler, you're up.
Warmth, community, and nourishing.
Mine are connection, creativity, and growth.
Mine are kindness, community, and compassion.
Open, home, and strengthening.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful for your ongoing connection to Hillel. And up next is today's featured speaker, Daniel Stone. To introduce and talk with Daniel, we're going to bring Jody back to the stage. Thank you both so much.
Yay. Our featured speaker is a national best-selling writer on adventure, history, and science, a former senior editor for National Geographic, and a former White House correspondent for Newsweek. His first book, The Food Explorer, was a national bestseller and is currently in development for a TV series. His latest book was released in 2022, Sinkable, which has received raving reviews. He's a professor of environmental science and policy at Johns Hopkins University, where he teaches environmental communication, history, and storytelling. Perfect. And he is an occasional contributor to the Washington Post, Time Magazine, and Vice, and has presented at the National Academy of Sciences. Our guest lives in Santa Barbara with his wife, Alana, his 15-month-old son, Micah, who are here with us today, and their dog, which he calls his other son. So please join me in welcoming UC Davis alumnus 2007 and former Hillel leader, Daniel Stone.
What an introduction, man. That's gotta take you everywhere I go.
Okay, I'll take the job. So Daniel, so exciting to have you here. We've been talking and you're finally here at Hillel. Where are you from? Did you start off in Davis?
I came to Davis like a lot of students, not knowing where I wanted to go, who I wanted to be, where I wanted to end up. I got into a few UCs and we visited Davis and I loved it. And like a lot of students, I became myself here. I had great experiences here. I met great friends here. But I really had kind of two core spots. One was the Aggie, the newspaper, where I worked all 4 years at Davis. The headquarters used to be in Lower Freeborn Hall. It was a real dungeon of an office. I think they just moved like last year or a couple of years ago. And I spent almost every day and almost every night there. But Tuesdays for lunch and Fridays for dinner, I was here. And that was my other core. Those were my other great friends. And that was really my spiritual community. And it's in both of those places that I launched. And I think a lot of students launch in those years, and how you spend those years determines which direction you'll go and who you're going with and how far you'll get.
Thank you. So getting to your career, you covered the White House for Newsweek magazine during the Obama administration. What was that like?
I was lucky to go to DC right after Davis. I didn't really know what I was doing, where I was going, but I decided to move to DC with a few friends. And because I had worked at the Aggie so hard and so long, I got an internship with Newsweek. And this was 2007, right as the election was kind of heating up. This was the Obama-McCain election. And it was just a great time to be young in DC, to be willing to work 22 hours a day and not care and just feel like something energetic was happening. And they ended up hiring me, and I got to report on Obama for about 4 years during his first term, follow him around in the press corps, attend press briefings. There's stuff you see on TV from the White House, like the press briefings with the White House logo behind you. There's stuff you don't get to see, which I luckily got to do. Background press briefings with the president's staff, or Oval Office meetings with the president, flying on Air Force One or on Marine One if he goes somewhere, especially secretly overnight, like President Biden just went to Ukraine. There were a few of those trips with Obama too. So getting to see not just how government functions, but the responsibilities of ethical, honest reporting, journalism, kind of rooted in my experience here at Davis, that eventually kind of got magnified in a way where, you know, I'd get notes from my editor that say, you have to write this story within the next 15 minutes. It has to go out tonight. Or in 2011, when I got a call on a Sunday night and said, you need to get to the White House right now, there's breaking news. And it was the night Osama bin Laden was killed. So these kind of pivotal formative moments that I was lucky to be there for, because I happened to, you know, have these great positions that gave me these opportunities, and Davis was the first opportunity. Yeah.
And then you went to National Geographic after all of that as an international correspondent. So I'm gonna, where did you travel to? Where did that job bring you?
I moved to National Geographic because I wanted to write about the environment. I felt like that was the emerging story of our time. It still is, our planet, our climate, our natural resources. And so I started at National Geographic in 2012, and they basically gave me kind of this dream job assignment. They said, find great stories anywhere in the world, and you got to pitch them, you got to make the case for them, but we want to send you. We want you to go and we want you to report. We want you to get great photos. We want you to go with a videographer to get great video, make great media from it. What a dream job, right? And again, I was 27, maybe 28 at the time. And so it was me and this one photographer, and we went literally all over the world. At one point, we took a round the world trip of about 7 countries in a month. And it was, again, one of those kinds of opportunities where you're like, is this really my job? And I hope they don't notice that I have no idea what I'm doing. But also I gotta do a really good job. I gotta soak this up, and I gotta make sure that I'm doing the best work I can. I'm writing the best stories I can, and identifying themes and people and stories from all over the world that really need to be told and deserve to be shared with a global audience.
So brings me to the next question then. So now you write books on adventure, exploration. So how do you pick your topics, and what drives your writing?
Yeah, my books are an extension of my work at National Geographic. So they're on the same topics of kind of adventure, exploration, geography, travel, human history, wild animals. And I look for kind of hidden stories. And that's kind of a cliche in book writing, but stories about people who have been erased from history, right? And it's common to find Jewish people who have been erased from history a lot. There's a ton of people, and I focus on the early 20th century, the 1900 to 1920. I find that to be a really formative time in the trajectory of the world, of just things changed. A lot of things changed. A lot of famous people lived. Dramatic events happened. And so I look in those eras, and I look for people who were pivotal or who were transformative in a way that they changed something and usually got forgotten. So my first book on the left here with the lemon on the front is about a man named David Fairchild, and he was a food spy for the US government. Literally, a true story. And he was an agent for the USDA who traveled all over the world in search of novel crops, things that did not exist here, and he brought them in that like 1900 to 1910 range. Avocados, mangoes, nectarines, peaches, seedless grapes, kale, mangoes. It's a long list, but all of these things we think of as native to here, but they all came here like all of our ancestors did as immigrants, right? And most of them in the hands of David Fairchild. So it's the story of a formative person who changed all of our daily lives every single day that most of us had never heard of. I hadn't. And my second one's about shipwrecks in the deep sea and parts of the world that we never get a close look at. And it's partly about the Titanic as a shipwreck, not as a ship, but a ship underwater, and a lot of other famous ships and what happens to ships as they age and corrode. And then the worldwide kind of obsession of this kind of underworld of people who devote their lives to sunken ships. And so again, good, colorful characters in this book as well. And so I look for people who changed things. And ideally not, kind of the classic, Einstein, Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison. I look for the unsung people and try to sing them, so to speak. Yeah.
So your latest release, as you just shared with us, Sinkable, that just came out in May 2022?
Yes, last year
Okay. And this one came out?
in 2018.
Okay, and both have had amazing reviews, beautiful books. I've spoken to many people. I'm on the third chapter on both. I didn't know which one to start first. So,
You're reading one chapter of each at a time. Yeah.
but kind of went back and forth, but it's going to be our Jewish book club book, ladies, whoever's here from the book club. So yeah, you'll have to come speak at our book club.
I will say one of kind of a great thing about writing books that I didn't know when I was writing, but it's hard to write a book. It's even harder to market a book. There's a lot of books, a lot of media in the world. And after the Food Explorer came out, one of the publicists that works with the publisher said to me, she said, "We want to pitch you for the Jewish Book Council," which I had not heard of. Now I'm very familiar with it. And I went to New York, and basically you're in a room like this. There's a lot of people. And there's a lot of authors, maybe 50 authors, and you each get, it's like that lightning round. You get maybe like a minute and a half, literally, to pitch your book. And you're pitching it to members of synagogues all over the country that are trying to fill their calendars with programming. And so they're looking for books, they're looking for themes and people that they can book several times a month or several months a year and come. And it can be a big source of book sales, right? In addition to kind of a big audience that you could build for your books. And so my favorite events are the ones where I get to go to synagogues now, and there are a lot of them. A lot of synagogues.
Rabbis, you getting this? You writing this down?
This is my pitch, yeah. But no, to share these with Jewish audiences, and outwardly my books are not, overtly on Jewish themes, the Holocaust or World War II or the diaspora of the Jewish people, but finding themes within them about adversity, about unsung people, about finding ways with, tenacity and perseverance against, discrimination and against historical events, that leave a people kind of disregarded. I have a lot of characters like that. And so those themes really resonate with Jewish audiences. And I try to look for them when I'm writing so that I could talk about them at these events.
I'd like to take one question from the audience, just
Sure.
one. We only have time for one. Have you
Okay.
ever asked a group of Jewish people to just have one question?
Question.
Okay, so if anybody has a question for Daniel right now for either book, can you just raise your hand?
The
Whoa,
pressure.
wait, that's
One-
amazing. Nobody has a question. Okay.
I'm happy to talk after.
I just saw two. Yeah, Sarah Pattison.
Great
There
question.
you go. Good one.
Great question. So you could do it. My wife Alana, who's here today, she and I used to live in DC when I worked for these magazines. We met in DC. We actually met at a bus stop, waiting for the bus together. Now we're married and we have a child. So I was on the staff of Johns Hopkins and I taught a class in environmental science and history. We moved to Santa Barbara about 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. And I was about to start working for a local school there, but COVID started and Johns Hopkins said, we are trying to expand our offering and trying to expand our community worldwide, nationwide, but really worldwide. And so we would like to put a lot of money in investment in our tools and how we teach and how we learn and how we bring people together online and occasionally in person in DC too. So my teaching is mostly online and occasionally in person also. And it's not always as great as all of us being in a room together, but I do have students all over the country who bring ideas from all over the country, who bring their diverse opinions and experiences to the class. And so I think online education is a part of the educational future, present also. And I think if done well and done really kind of intentionally, it can be really powerful.
That was a great question. I was thinking the same thing, Sarah. So our last few minutes with you, Daniel, I want to bring you back to Hillel. This building wasn't here because this was built in 2012 and you are
I graduated
2007. What was it like here? What kind of building? And do you have any experiences or anything that you want to share with us about your time here?
Yes, thank you for asking. Yeah.
written down.
Any of you who have been involved in Hillel here for a long time know that this building is a miracle, right? In every single way. And you've probably heard stories of what was here before this building. And, you've all heard kind of the classic, it wasn't much. And really, it wasn't much, right? It wasn't much for any of us. I mean, it was maybe what, an 800 square foot house, right? Maybe 1,000. Not large, but it was always brimming. It was spilling outward into the backyard, into the front. The Tuesday lunches, there were often it was like over the fire code kind of situation, which is a great thing to have. And so I came to Hillel my first week of school. And in that first week, I met lifelong friends. One of whom is my friend Jacqueline, who's here today. She came up from LA for this event. Jacqueline's a rabbi now, and I met her that first time I stepped into the Hillel house. Within the next few weeks, I met some other friends that became my fraternity brothers when I joined AE Pi. One of them is Dan Fisher, who's here today also, and his wife Carla. I met my friend Claire, who's also, I'm gonna name all my friends, but truly, yeah, I know. Those are all my friends who are here, but they all kind of were that first few like days of Hillel. And then of course you're here for years. And so those relationships get strengthened, and the Tuesday lunches become not just kind of a one-off thing, but a routine that we got into. And I will say this building is not only miraculous, but it is like the work of such hard work of so many people, and especially Mona Alfie, who is the former director who made this building happen. And so when those of us who were here in those days step into this building, it's a reflection of the investment that's been made by so many of you and so many other people for so long. And it's moving. It's like deeply moving to see the growth of it. Yeah.
Beautiful, Daniel. Thank you so much. Now you've offered to do a book signing, and actually we have an anonymous donor who purchased 30 of your latest release, Sinkable, and actually purchased 20 of the Food Explorer. So you'll be going upstairs, and it's first come, first serve. So we only have the 50, but fortunately, if you're not one of the 50, we can purchase your book on
wherever books are sold. Yes. On Amazon, at the Avid Reader, local bookstores are especially great. So yes.
So thank you. Do we have time for one more question, Marjorie? We do. Dan, we don't want you to leave us yet.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we did the close, but because we have a couple of extra minutes, we're just going to see, besides Sarah, if there's one more question that we haven't covered for our incredible Daniel Stone. Any questions? Yes.
A taste testing of the foods. The funny thing about writing a book about food is people think you're like a foodie, and I'm not. I mean, but I will say I'm a fruit guy. Like I love fruit and ag, largely because of my time at Davis. In addition to my time at the Aggie and Hillel, my fourth year I got a job out on Hutchinson Road, working in one of those peach research farms, and days were really long, and a lot of really hot in the summer. I actually wrote about the experience in the introduction to the Food Explorer about working in Davis, and our goal was to find the perfect peach for canning, right? Different from eating fresh, right? And so a peach that kind of grew evenly and consistently, had good color and sweet taste, and could sit in a can for 2 or 3 years. And anyway, this is research that gets done at Davis for all sorts of fruits. And so I worked on that farm, and then I worked for a farmer at the Davis Farmers Market. And that experience really launched my key interest in agricultural history. So no, I'm not like a fancy restaurant like foodie, but I am like a Aggie, I guess, so to speak.
Daniel Stone. All right, so everybody's got their calendar out, and you're going to be having a lot of bookings. Thank you for being with us, Daniel. Thank you. Next up for our final closing of today is back to President Barry Klein. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, and all the other alums who were so articulate and made it very clear how Hillel played a major part in their lives. As you know, these are tough times for Jewish students on campus, our campus and everywhere. How many times have you railed against anti-Semitism and felt helpless in supporting the welfare of our Jewish students and the Jewish community in general? As the administration at UC Davis and other universities deal with the issues of free speech versus hate speech versus disruptive behavior, we can proactively support the Jewish students on campuses by supporting Hillel. This is their home away from home, with an emphasis on proud to be Jewish culture. There are no dues to come into Hillel or price of admission to come into Hillel. Our doors are open, our lights are on, and food is on the table because of you. And we need your continuing support. When the stars align, and they have here, you'll discover what I was taught by our Jewish tradition, that the one who gives is as happy as the one who receives. Let us all experience the joy of supporting Hillel and our Jewish students. Thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to introduce Steve Gottfried, a member of Congregation Bet Havarim and a local leader in our regional Jewish community, who will lead us on a path to support Hillel. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. I'm truly honored to be here. I was so honored to be invited to comment today. So thank you all. And it's great to be among friends. So many of you I know from the community. Lovely to be with you. And are you feeling as inspired as I am by these presentations today and these incredible young people and Daniel and really, really amazing stuff. And it's brought up a lot for me personally. You know, probably like many of you, Micah's grandparent, I am the son of a Holocaust survivor. And I remember my father was a Polish Jew who was 4 years in the camps. He used to call Auschwitz his high school. His years there were 13 through 17. And I remember going to college and being a freshman and going off to college. And my dad, you know, I remember seeing a tear in his eye. And I'm like, Dad, you know, you should be happy. You know, I'm going to college. And I could see, he couldn't really articulate it, but I could see what he felt was survival was worth it, you know. And I look at these kids and my dad would be so proud to see them, to see these young people, to be a part of this. And this is really where hope lies, in our youngsters, in our future as a community. So I'm incredibly grateful that each and every one of you is here to be a part of this and to experience this and to lend your support. And right now is a moment where I'm going to make a big ask of you. And I want to preface my ask with a couple of things. First of all, if you work in an industry that has remained strong in these uneven economic times, and you've had a pretty good year in your professional life, this would be a great place to share in that bounty. You know, we all go through life and we see all the challenges that the world faces, the rising anti-Semitism. And honestly, in my life, I never thought I'd see anti-Semitism again like it is today. You know, it was always kind of hiding under the rocks, but always there. And now it's been unleashed. And the hope is here. Supporting young people who are enriching the world and making the world better. That's how we combat this. And we go through life looking for ways to make the world a better place, to create change, to be the change that we want to see in the world. And right now, before you is just such an opportunity. If you believe, like I do, that what we're doing here today is important, I'd like to invite you right now to make a gift. And I'd like to just say that there is an amazing $50,000 matching gift from the late, amazing Barbara Fingerhut that goes towards this moment of our program. So every dollar you donate at this moment will be doubled. What I'd like to ask you at this moment is there anybody in the house today who has the capacity and the passion for this to make a gift of $10,000 or more? If you would like to make that gift, please raise your hand. Gail Klein. Gail and Barry Klein. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. There's $10,000. Who else would like to make a gift of $10,000 today? Did everybody hear that? Just in case, that's from Zach Nelson's parents, in memory of Zach. That's $20,000. Who else would make a gift today of $10,000 or more? Or more. And if it's or more, just yell out the number. Is there any more at $10,000 in the house today? Who would make a gift of $5,000? Who would make a gift that this wonderful gentleman would? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. What's that? Yes. Thank you. That's 25,000 now. And all you folks who are here with us virtually, we're looking to you too. We see you and we welcome you. We're at 25,000. Who else would make a gift of $5,000? Who else? Anybody at that level? Who would make a gift of $2,500 this afternoon? Who would pledge? This wonderful gentleman would. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's 27,500. That's 27,500. Who else would make a gift of 2,500? A $3,600 gift right there. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Who else would make a gift? Who else would make a gift? We're over 30,000 now. Who else would make a gift today of 2,500 or more? Wonderful gentleman in the back. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's 32.5 and change. Who else would make a $2,500 gift at this moment? Who else? Who would make a $1,000 pledge to support Hillel? This wonderful gentleman in the back would. Thank you so much. That's 33.5. And this woman right here makes it 34.5. And Karen right here makes it 35.5. Thank you, Karen. And our Chancellor would. Thank you so much, Chancellor, makes it 36.5. And this wonderful gentleman makes 37.5. And my dear friend Lucas Frericks, thank you, Lucas, makes it 38.5. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Thank you. And this wonderful woman makes 39.5. Oh, those are my pals. Here you guys, 39.5. Who else would make a $1,000 gift? Where is it? This will, oh, hi, Norma Rappaport. So nice to see you. $1,800 from Norma Rappaport. Thank you. That makes 42 and a half ballpark. Any more at 1,000? Any more at 1,000? This wonderful woman right here makes 43.5. There's a Zoom from Judy and Steve Lewis. Thank you, Judy and Steve Lewis, of $1,800. $1,800. Who else has $1,000 right now? Who else? Any more at that level? Any more? Is there an accountant in the house? Where are we? Where are we? Right around 50, right? Ballpark? All right. Who would pledge $500? Right here. Thank you, Jillian. That's 50,500. Dan's going to pledge, makes it 51,000. These two wonderful women right here. 720, 720s. So that's about 1,500 there. Who else has $500? Thank you, Jodela. There, and thank you so much. Thank you. That puts us at roughly 54,000. This is, can you read that for me, Jody? 500 from Milan Val Tarasenko. Thank you, Tarasenkos. Are there any more at $500? Any more at 500? Who would play up? Another Zoom pledge. Thank you, Jody, you're my eyes. Susan and Theo Goodwin for $500. Susan and Theo Goodwin at 500. Any more at $500? Right over here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Any more at 500? Any more at 500? Who would pledge $250 tonight? Who would pledge $250? Any at $250? Thank you so much, Dan. Nice to see you. Dan's in at $250. On behalf of Dr. Paul Lederman, $300. Thank you. Father-in-law to Jodela. Who else is in? There is $250 right there from that wonderful gentleman. Who else? Any more at $250? Any more at $250? All right, for the rest of you, I'd like you to consider going out to lunch one less time this coming month. And in lieu of that, who would pledge $100? Who would pledge $100? There's one. Thank you so much. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's an extra 1,000. I went kind of fast. 11. Raise your hand if you didn't get a pledge card. I was going kind of fast. Raise your hand if you didn't get a card. Everybody get a card who just made a $100 pledge? Auctioneer's in for $100 too. Auctioneer's in for $100. Anybody else? I'll take it. Accountant, where are we? Where do we get to? I'm going to say that's roughly $75,000, right? Is that right? We just raised in the last 5 minutes? About 75? Yeah, more like 60? All right. Well, you know, sometimes you never know who's in an audience, and you never know what kind of generosity you're going to find and what kind of compassion, passion, and commitment you're going to find to this lovely, lovely organization. So let's just say we've raised about $60,000 just now. Is there anybody in the house who would be willing, or whose company would be willing to match it? Is there anybody in the house who would do that? Is there anybody in the house who would be willing, or whose company would be willing to make a 50 cent on the dollar match to that, which would be 30,000? All right. You never know. So if that is a gift that you would prefer to make more in private, sometimes that is the situation. You know who to connect with from Hillel. So that brings my portion of the program to a close. And I would just like to say what a pleasure and a privilege it has been to be with you today. Thank you for so much generosity and for your support of this organization.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you so much to all of you for your incredible generosity today. I'm so touched and really appreciate your support. Before we close today, I'm thrilled to share some extraordinary news with you about Hillel's next chapter. 3 weeks ago, I had the best phone call. I learned that we have been selected to be the recipients of a major grant called the Strategic Growth Grant from Hillel International. This grant, thank you. This grant will provide the resources necessary to hire quality professionals to expand our team so that we can double the amount of students that we engage on both UC Davis and Sacramento State's campuses. Additionally, we'll be able to provide more leadership opportunities for our students. This also means expanding our fundraising goals and alumni outreach, and we are off to a great start today. And some more great news. We'll wait for the slide to change. Perfect, thank you. Hillel's back, front, and side yards will be undergoing major renovations, so we can have many more events outdoors throughout the year. Thank you to Tony Tanky, Roy Kaplan, and Alex Cohen for leading this project, which is in honor of our founders, Norma and Larry Rappaport. And to conclude our program, I'd like to invite Jody and Marjorie back to the stage.
Rachel, we are so excited and we are here, all of you, for the work ahead. We'd like to invite you all upstairs for some more schmooze, delicious appetizers, to visit Daniel at the book signing table. And for all who participated in the special appeal today, thank you. Please stop at the checkout table, which will be located right at the front entrance.
And finally, if you haven't had a tour of this house, you have your own personal tour guide. We have students ready to show you around, and there's lots of levels and lots of wonderful spaces to explore. So please take advantage of that.
Students right back there, right?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So the students are right back there waiting for you. So until next time, be well. Thank you again for supporting Hillel, coming here for the afternoon. We are so grateful for your support and your friendship.